Good evening. Good evening, teachers, students, folks, attendees. I can pick it up, actually. Thank you for inviting me here. This is like a deja vu when I come on this stage after 27 years. And it's a great feeling. It's emotional and it's a great feeling. So thank you, Alum Committee, for inviting me here today. So my story is going to begin with what I've done. And this is an extremely old photograph. So basically, every school holds two different worlds that revolve around each other. And they're next to each other, never touch each other. It's the haves and the have-nots. And the job of a school is actually to teach you and to graduate you out and train you to face the world. And that's what BIS does to all of us. I'm sure about all the people here. This is my class of when we were in '83. And all of us have been trained and graduated in BIS and are ready to face the world well. My inspiration to do medicine, let me begin with a small snippet that actually crafted my path. I was about 10 years old, and I was out at a Christmas carnival with my parents. My parents were talking to another couple, and a little young, small boy came up to me. He was older than me, but small then. And he said, a couple of years ago, I was extremely sick. I had very high-grade fever, my parents tell me. I was unconscious. I had my hands and feet moving. That's what convulsion is. And I was brought in an emergency state to a hospital. A doctor came in the night at 11:30, 12, actually diagnosed me, started prompt therapy. I was in hospital for 2 weeks and more. I only woke up on the 8th day. And there I could see the sunlight. So 7, 8 days, my parents said I was completely unconscious. And wow, I got a new life. I'm here again, doing what I love. I'm back to my school. I love to play. I do my music. I do everything. The moment he said this stuck a bell to me. I said, this is what I want to do. I want to actually play a role in treating patients, if not curing them. And this boy's story actually struck me then. As his parents parted from my parents away, he quietly came and again echoed in my ears, you know what? That doctor was your dad. And I said, this is it. This is what I really want to do in life. So it all began then. So what lies behind us and what lies ahead of us are small matters compared to what lies within us. And I say this to repeat what Sanjay told you. You remembered Professor Unnikrishnan. When I came back to school, when I started medicine, I just come once, you need to take those signature on certificates. He actually told me, he said, what are you doing? He looked at me like this. I said, sir, I am joined MBBS. He said, what? Are you sure you want to do this? Think again, speak to your parents. I said, no, I'm pretty sure what I want to do. So my passion to do medicine actually started then. And as I started my medical school, it was a long journey. I had to travel for 2.5 hours in the morning, 2 hours in the evening, change 4 trains, take local buses, take ST buses out in some far place from the city, 2 hours away. There were no trains going there. So it all happened, and it eventually happened. I did that to get some alignment into medicine. And of course, I did graduate and finish medicine. Whilst I was doing this, my folks, of course, were partying. They were having fun. They were romping around. They were having fun and frolic. But we've been trained as doctors to put thou before self. We've been trained to be present when we are required to be there. We've been trained not to get fascinated with these parties and things that really drive you away. So it didn't really bother me. Honestly, of course, I did miss those days when my friends would say, you know what, we're going here today, we're going to watch a movie today. And I said, no, listen, I have an exam tomorrow. I have a tough case, I need to present this tomorrow. But it's okay, I don't repent it. For at the end of the day, the hunt is always better than the kill. It's always fun to chase rather than just get something to eat. I still remember the first patient that I saw of tuberculosis. I will never forget the first heart attack patient that I saw in my life. And what about the patient who came with kidney failure? When I was in JJ Hospital, there was a small little room, and this is a true story again, and there was a little man lying on a white bed sheet, and actually the room was quarantined, as if there was some devastating disease that he was going to spread around. And the man actually had HIV and AIDS. So I'm talking about really 25 years ago, 20 years ago. And everyone would just come peep into the room from the little window and see who's this guy and what this guy has. And yes, I saw a patient of AIDS. Of course, The shadow of the first patient that I saw with a heart transplant, the man walked with 2 hearts. It's called a piggyback heart transplant at the Mass General Hospital. Still shadows my eyes. It's not the disease, my friends, that actually motivates me. It's trying to get them back. I'm happy to see these patients. I was happy then because they all went back home safely, happily, back to the kith and kin, back to what they wanted to do, and back to life. As Sadhguru said, the air that you breathe, the food that you eat, the earth that you walk on, the patients you see or don't see, this is my addition. Whatever I'm conscious of, I'm completely aware of it, and this is my passion. At the end of this is what is the definition of compassion, and everything in it is passion. So this was my story from passion to compassion. Even as many times, all our medical students, like many other professionals and non-professionals, we have to keep reading, we have to keep writing papers, reviewing literature, teach our medical students, and of course, our best teachers are our patients. We still have to come back and home and read and learn and decide that this patient has come with this has to be done this. We often said, we've sat nights and days together, sat calmly and quietly and got back to work, even though the midnight lamp has vanished. Treating critically ill patients is a very critical situation, and you need a critical decision at that critical moment. Yeah. So, treating a patient in the ICU, you need to put all your mind and a little bit of your heart to treat him. At the end of the day, it's he who cures. We can just treat the patient. But seeing a critically ill patient is heartbreaking even for a doctor. At the end of the day, we are humans also. They are on life supports, they're on kinds of medicines, and then actually you don't know whether they're going to breathe their last or they're going to make it. But this is the way we've trained. We try to do our best to get these patients out of this mess that they are in. If you step out of the ICU, I'm sure all of you have been in the ICU or seen the ICU. The atmosphere outside of the ICU, it's somber, it's with agony. The relatives are just waiting for the doctor to come and tell them something. They only want to hear pleasantries, obviously, that the patient is doing well or not well. That's not always the truth. We always have to tell them the truth. Many patients don't do well. Of course, most of them, hopefully, do well. Is it just auto-playing? Someone's doing it. Okay. Okay, the previous one. For us to go out of the ICU, it's equally difficult because you tell one patient's relative, your brother or your sister, whoever it is better. We've weaned off his drugs. We've got his ventilator setting off. He looks on the path of recovery. And the very next moment, you go and tell another set of family that, these things are not looking good. He's not doing too well. It's difficult for us even to do that, but we've been trained to do that, of course, with a stiff heart. Okay, next slide. What I look for and most of our doctors look for is just gratitude. I'll tell you a small story that's not very old. It's just 4 weeks old. A school teacher walked into one of the hospitals that I work in. She came in with rash, high-grade fever, liver failure, and kidney failure. In my mind, when I saw I had 3-4 things going on, we clinched a diagnosis pretty quickly and started aggressive chemotherapy. She actually deteriorated in the first 7 to 10 days. Patients with liver failure and kidney failure together anyway have a bad prognosis. She worsened. Every morning that I would go to the ICU and I would ask her, "How are you doing, ma'am? Any complaints?" She would just look with her yellow eyes into my eyes and ask me one question: will I become okay? Her question was not, when will I go home, like most conscious patients would ask you, but her question was, will I become okay? She knew that she was battling death. As days and weeks progressed, we shifted out of the ICU. One final day came that I told her, now it's time for you to go home. You're doing well, and you're out of all the mess that you were in. She just held my hand. She wept and cried, and she said, "You've given me the best gift of my life. You're sending me back to my family. I will pray for every single day that I live for your well-being and so that God gives you power to treat all the patients." This is what we look for. With just the gratitude of patients, I think it gives me an immense kick and immense pleasure in treating them. So we see normal patients, but I've had a difficult experience to see patients and deal patients. You'll have to go to the next one. And to deal with patients from different facets. I dealt with terrorists. I was a part of the treating team for the Bombay 1993 blasts. I've dealt with the devastating 26/11 attacks. I've seen patients come in all kinds of states with their hands broken, their skull open, bleeding, and the worst, and I'm expressionless to say, I've seen several deaths in this. Imagine someone going for a coffee or for a walk and gets victimized because of one of these terrorist groups. It's terrible. It was completely heartbreaking when we did it, but we had to do it. And let me tell you something more deeply important. Not only treating these patients, on one occasion, after 25 days or 30 days of the 26/11, I got a call at 9:30 in the night, and someone said that the chief terrorist is getting admitted under you. I want you to attend him immediately. I was actually shitting. I said, I cannot go and attend to this guy because I was scared also. He said, no, you have to go there. I went there. Irrespective of his caste, creed, breed, his actions, I had to treat him as a patient. Fortunately, he did well, and justice took over him. But, these are emotional things that we often have to go by. Whether it's Diwali or Eid, or whether it's Christmas, or whether it's any other festivities, we are there when our patients need us. Irrespective of the function at home or any celebration anywhere outside, if we are there, we are committed to us, we have committed ourselves to the patients, we are always there. Many times, especially with families who don't have siblings or parents who are doctors, they feel, listen, forget it, don't go. Fortunately, I have a medical background, so it doesn't happen to me in my house. But they say, this is not important, you can do it tomorrow. We cannot attend the patient tomorrow. It has to be attended itself when it requires, of course. Abreast we need to be with all our medical knowledges regularly. We have to deal with several diseases, not only endemics, but also epidemics. Whether it's dengue, Zika, cholera, swine flu, or bird flu, even we were not born when these diseases occurred, and we've never seen these diseases. They've reemerged or resurgent. So we have to read, we have to keep ourselves updated, because there are new modalities of treatment, there are new modalities of investigations. There are several things that we can prevent such diseases. So it's not that a doctor's life, like any other professional's life, doesn't stop after their MBBS or MD. It continues till the time he takes rebirth. You have to keep reading again. At the same time, I call something as a professional hazard, where we are also exposed to such diseases. Some communicable diseases like tuberculosis, cholera, H1N1 are communicable diseases. But somehow God gives us some power to fight these diseases naturally. Of course, we are humans. We also succumb to these illnesses more often than not. It's been a brilliant career, right from my school till the present day. I love teaching students. I love reading. I love treating patients. And the best thing that happens to me is when a patient goes back home in a good state. Thank you very much, and I'm more than happy to take any questions.
Hi. So it's considered that IQ is, really important in medicine, the number of symptoms that and the diseases associated. And actually, we had this debate in school. And my question to you would be, to what extent do you think the EQ aspect of it is necessary in something like medicine? It would be great to hear your views on...
You really want to hear that?
Yeah.
You remember my little small story that Professor Unni Krishnan in school told me? I was a completely average student. You don't have to be intelligent. You have to be smart enough to adapt and read things. So what you read, you forget. What you listen, you remember. But what you do, you know. So if you keep practicing and doing it, you will know it. So you don't really have to be extra intelligent to do this.
Like you said that it's a really hard profession. That was actually going to be my question, because 6 of my friends who were initially doing NEET or MBBS preparation, out of the 6, 5 have already dropped out and switched to JEE.
The sensible 5.
Yeah. And what is it about medicine that even in the first couple of months, students are so intimidated about it? Because I would think that preparation for an IIT or for any engineering college is about as rigorous or intensive as a NEET preparation, but why is it so intimidating to students?
Well, as I was climbing up this evening that skeletal still is there on the 2nd floor, I think. And I remember seeing the skeleton, seeing every bone, and whether I knew I want to do medicine or no, it's just intriguing to treat the human body. And it's also a matter of pride that you're going to be capable of treating someone, if not curing someone. So, medicine, people love doing medicine because of the gratitude patients give you, the kind of respect you get in society. And you're driven at that moment because doctor is a doctor. Like this kid who came and told me, who actually drove me, I don't know why I met him there. But, so it's just the drive. It's just the feeling of being good. Of course. A little louder, please. Thanks. Sure.
Hello. Somebody had gone there to study medicine.
Right.
Had to bring the body back.
Right.
So he was very passionate about medicine. And when I saw the university, it was fantastic.
Of course.
And it was easy to get into compared to universities and colleges in India. So if there were students here, and it was not that expensive too, what would you think if a student here who couldn't get into a college or university here picked a university to go to, like in Belize?
That's a great question. I can have complete parts to that. Statistically, from last year to this year, the number of students wanting to enter medicine has dropped. However, if there are several students who don't get in here, it's a great thing to go and do it abroad, especially. But issues in some countries is language. So you actually need, it's English. So, there are some small cities in China, etc., where you need to learn Mandarin and Chinese for a year and a half. The course is actually shorter by 6 months. And you have an entrance exam in India. So if your university is certified and you're eligible to give the entrance exam and you clear the exam, you can come back to India, do your post-graduation or practices. So it's a great option to do it. There, $15,000 a year. Yeah. It's very expensive, yeah. It's
one last question.
So what do you think about all these new automated and robotic doctors that they're coming up with? Do you think they would work, or what is your opinion on them?
Wow. The art of medicine is to touch the patient and feel the patient. It gives you 50% of the diagnosis. However, automation and robots can be operated to do a fantastic job. But there are indications and contraindications. So robots do a cleaner surgery. Their lens is magnified 400 times than your naked eye can see. So it's really precise. But you need to have clean margins. You know what surgery you're performing. There probably should not be a complication inside where you'll have to manually maneuver. Many robotic surgeons cannot maneuver the robot because there are tissues that are deeper inside the body which require hands to go. So robotic surgery is a good thing. It's going to be the future of many such surgeries that are going to occur, but there are contraindications and indications.
Thank you, Dr. Samdani.